We're live. Hey, Don.
Good morning, Dan.
How are you?
Another beautiful day in Western New York. We
Yeah.
finally got the rain to stop for a little bit. Let me ask you this. You're not only a smart businessman, but you have keen intuition. Do you feel that things are getting better or worse in the Western New York area, specifically Erie County and the city of Buffalo?
Well, Don, I got to tell you, I've had a lot of time to think about it, and we put these Band-Aids on, right? And the thing, I'm going to give you an example. So there was a town board meeting. Now they took away the gambling at the senior center.
I saw that.
Okay, you saw that. But we're talking about ridiculous, but we're talking about like the things that they open up, stuff like that. Now, it was referenced that they did this in West Seneca or Cheektowaga, something like that. And one of the town board members mentioned this. Well, it's untrue. They didn't take it away. So I think we've come to a place in our politics that the controlling party, which is the Democrats right now, they are looking for every reason why things are wrong, but they're not putting any responsibility on themselves, who have been in control all this time. So the problem is that we still have the problems. Like Mayor Ryan still has the problems of the 25% tax increase. He's got all these problems going on. But what I'm really surprised at, to answer your question, I don't think things are not getting any better. And the reason why things are not getting any better is because they're still blaming the other party for their mistakes. Donald Trump and the Republican Party really have nothing to do with what's happening in Western New York.
No,
they have nothing to do with it. And I'm more like, they're not taking responsibility for their actions. None of them are. They think that because they've got so many Democrats in this area, that's how we're holding on to our power. But what have you done? Did you see Kathy Hochul just bailed out New York City?
She did.
She just bailed them out again.
Yeah. And, see the pro-Palestinian protest yesterday?
Yes. You don't even need this, Don. To be honest, no, okay. We're live here. So.
Okay. I am sick about what's going on in New York City with this guy. The financial powerhouses are on the verge of leaving New York if he continues with the wealth tax.
Right.
The socialist mayor of Seattle, Washington, just imposed a wealth tax, and guess what? Jeff Bezos said, "Adios, I'm moving to Miami."
Right.
He left.
They're all moving to Miami because DeSantis is saying, "Come, we want all your stuff." This leads to exactly your first question. Are we better off? We're not better off because they don't have a mindset. The politicians that we have, again, I'm going to say this. I don't care whether you're Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter to me. They don't have a mindset that we need to bring people in. We need to make our tax base bigger. We need to get revenue streams in here to make it better for us. They don't have the mentality, nor do they have the skill set to do that.
Just driving over here, I drove by the former Ingram Micro office building, completely vacant.
Right.
It's a huge complex. They moved downtown by the waterfront. There's so much that bothers me about Albany, and specifically about the city of Buffalo. The potholes are beyond belief.
Mm-hmm.
And Poloncarz says the city doesn't even have a paver.
But see, you're saying all that's the problem. But you want to know something? Poloncarz is not taking any responsibility for that.
He doesn't do anything.
That's right. He's not taking any responsibility.
He'll blame a department head.
That's exactly right.
Right. Let's talk about this new police commissioner for the city of Buffalo. Sean Ryan continues to boggle my mind because common sense, that's what you and I try to rule our life with, is common sense. Common sense tells you don't slap the taxpayers with a 25% tax increase in 1 year. What's he do? He insists on 25%, like, hey, we just got to do it, sir. As Mandami says, you just got to give a little more.
That's right.
Well, I'm tired of giving.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see how that backfired on Mandami with that little stupid thing with that camera.
Unbelievable.
But like how rude you are, you cocky
You
thing.
think you have the
Who do
right
you
to
think
do
you
that?
are?
To call a multi-millionaire out? Well, here's the other thing. You don't need 4 deputy mayors. Maybe 1 or 2, but 4. What is the mayor doing?
Right.
What is he taking responsibility for?
That's right.
And then what does he do? he has an opportunity because he's the new mayor, and you know what they say, a new broom sweeps clean. So he gets rid of the police commissioner. And what does he do? He brings in a female police commissioner who was fired as the police commissioner in Atlanta, fired as the police commissioner in Louisville, and we hire her from the outside. Now, anybody who knows a Buffalo police officer, they will tell you they prefer to promote from within the ranks. Okay, one of their own.
Well, who wouldn't want that, Don?
Exactly.
Who wouldn't want that?
I went to
You work
the
so hard.
academy together with
Right.
you.
But you work hard. Where's the stepping stones?
Well, ask Gil Kurlikowski. Remember him? How'd that
Oh,
work
that's
out
right,
when we
that's
brought him in? He couldn't wait to get out of Buffalo because the rank and file didn't care for him.
Right.
This police union is not going to support this woman. Okay? Now, here's the kicker. The former police commissioner of the city of Buffalo was paid $170,000. Sean Ryan, he brings her in at $250,000. And that had me irked. So I went online and I wanted to see what the chiefs of police were making in other towns and cities. Let me just give you an idea. Erica Shields, $250,000 in the city of Buffalo. From the former commissioner was $170,000. Amherst police chief, now this guy, he's got it made, and they don't make a big deal about it because the Buffalo News doesn't have any reporters anymore, and the Amherst Bee doesn't get into anything that's controversy. This guy's making a $207,000 base salary, but with all his benefits, he totals out at $317,000. So in Amherst, we're paying $317,000 a year for a police chief. I talked to a cop yesterday at Main and Young's. I said, "You're running radar?" "Well, not really." I said, "Why don't you?" I said, "They're coming up Young's Road at 50 miles an hour. Some kid's going to get hit one day, and you could generate a lot of revenue for the town." But listen to this one. Cheektowaga. You know what they pay their police chief? $148,000. How about Tonawanda in the city? $91,000. You're getting a pretty good deal. City of Tonawanda has a good police department, by the way. North Tonawanda, $126,000, and Hamburg's police chief, $174,000. So there you have it. We have a woman who's been fired from Atlanta and Louisville, and we hire her at $250,000.
To your first point, that's because what they think to do, the current people in charge think that they can buy their way into success and into their positions. This is what they think, Don. When I ran, or when we even talk about people who have any type of business skill set whatsoever, you don't bring people in like that. What you do is you make this a jobs-oriented position based on what you can bring to the table. Are you bringing success? Are you doing your job?
What does she bring to the table?
That's right. That's right.
I don't know.
But we are so conditioned, and they really think that people are so stupid that this stuff goes over our head and we don't care. But see, people are watching, people are looking, people are questioning all this stuff because, to your question, is things better? No, I don't think they're better at all.
I don't understand, be it now that I'm retired. I don't know how any retired person could stay in the state of New York. What benefits do you get
100%.
for your state taxes?
100%.
Except I do appreciate the state troopers. I think they do a marvelous job.
Yeah, but Don, look at our tax rate.
Oh.
Look at our tax rate. You listen, we're living with our budget right now that Culpa gave to us, right? We're living with that. I don't even know what Sean's going to do next year. I can't wait to see what happens. It's not going to be good.
He's got to raise taxes.
It's not going to be good.
Because
and it's not going to be good.
They're not going to cut spending. Heaven forbid.
Well, they can't. Well, they can't according to the way they're doing it. Did you see the new residency requirement?
Oh, now you don't have to be a resident of town?
Now, remember, when I was going through this, that was a huge issue. What are you going to do about it? It's because there's so many people in government right now that don't live in Amherst because they can't afford to live in Amherst.
I didn't realize that was the problem.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's expensive to live here. My taxes are unbelievable to live in my house.
I was at the driving range yesterday, and I was talking to a very, very successful businessman, and he has a place in Naples for he's a snowbird. And he was saying that as soon as he is done with his business and he decides to retire in 2 to 3 years, he's going to become a resident in Florida because you know what's on the ballot this November in Florida? It's called the Homestead Act, and it's to do away with property taxes. Can you believe this?
Wow.
Now, did you ever hear anything original coming out of Albany, about cutting taxes in any shape or form.
No,
Never.
we don't believe in it.
No, we
don't
just
believe
tax and spend, tax and
That's
spend.
right.
And I don't want anybody to come down on me for, I just don't believe that we should be doing billions of dollars for these illegal immigrants who came in here illegally to our country. I love immigrants if they do it legally. But if you come across that border illegally, I don't want our tax dollars going to support you.
But I want to say this to you, Don. That is absolutely a problem. We've spent far too much money. But this truly is about them not understanding how to operate a multi-billion-dollar corporation, which is the state of New York,
Yeah.
or a multi-million-dollar Amherst town. These people are career politicians who think that they know the answers. They don't. It's all about power. It's all about, I want to keep my job. I want to be these people. Would you hire? Let's go further. Let's take this one step further. Let's take our current politicians. Let's take Mark Poloncarz. Let's take Mark Poloncarz. Let's take Jeremy Zellner. Let's take any one of them. Would you hire them in a business?
I would not.
Why?
They don't have what I call the competency to take the job.
It's because they haven't been trained to understand what you spend, you better make. They don't understand that.
Good principle.
They don't understand any of that. They have been career politicians who only understand that we need to put it on the backs of the residents in order to pay for our jobs, the politicians.
Don't think for a second that we live in a democracy anymore. Here's a letter that I got from an editor, a letter to the editor. Party chiefs should not handpick the candidates. This is in regard to how when Crystal Peoples-Stokes announced that she was resigning or retiring from the assembly, and by the way, she was a pretty good public servant. She came out and said the 25% tax increase is not fair to the people on the east side. They can't afford it. That any landlord's is going to pass it on in rent. It's going to be a disaster. But she announced it on a Thursday, and anybody who wanted to run for that position had to have petitions in by Friday. Not enough time. It was orchestrated so one of her former aides, who's on the Buffalo Common Council, that Zellner could appoint her to be the candidate with no opposition, no primary, because no one else can get their petitions in time. Okay?
I heard that the same thing was Eminger. Eminger left in the middle of his term.
Yeah,
so
why?
they can appoint Flynn.
Yeah, the former DA.
Yeah.
Well, John Flynn's a good man.
But the point is,
I know
the
how
point
they
is,
orchestrated it.
why would you do that?
Well, it's no democracy. The people.
That's
don't
right.
Get to, the
That's
people
right.
Don't get
It's because
to
they're
choose.
afraid. I'm telling you right now, it's because they can't win the conventional way. They can't do it, and they know it. They got to do special elections. They got to do this stuff. You know how many people have come up to me and said, if you had more time, if they would have pushed that out a little bit longer instead of 30 days, you would have had a better chance of winning. See, this is the problem. These people think that this was my whole life. It's not. It's not.
Thank God.
No. My point is I did it because I thought I could make a difference. We don't have people who understand the basic essentials of how to operate a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar state or town.
Right.
They don't have a clue.
Or city.
They don't have a clue. Look, I hear Sean Ryan's a nice guy. I hear he's a really nice person. What experience does Sean Ryan have to run a multi-million-dollar company?
Oh, when he was down in Albany, what did he do?
But that's my point. What experience does he have? All they understand is, how am I going to tax you in order for me to stay in my job?
I agree.
We should hold them accountable for everything they do. I mean, everything. Every decision you make. Was it successful? What are those four mayors doing for you? And what are they giving to us? What are all four of those people, those deputy mayors, doing for us?
Well, I talked to somebody in the highway department about the snowplow that gouged some yards, some lawns, and if the town was going to have the crew come along with a little bit of topsoil and reseed it. And this person has a pretty good job in the town of Amherst Highway Department, said, well, Floss hasn't even negotiated a contract yet for topsoil. Are you kidding me?
That's right.
It's May.
Wait a minute. And wait, I got one better for you. They weren't paying their bills. They stopped they're on COD.
Really?
COD. Really? This is the stuff that
I didn't know that.
yeah, people don't get it.
We were at a luncheon when I met this guy, Hernandez, who is running for state controller. Brilliant man, came over legally from Cuba. His dad came over, wanted to escape the Fidel Castro regime. Great credentials. He's made his money in pharmaceuticals, started drug companies and what have you. And he says what's going on in Minnesota on this Medicare and Medicaid fraud abuse, he goes, it's the tip of the iceberg compared to what's going on in New York State. I'm going, oh my God.
You see that Vance has a 2:00 press conference
Today?
today.
And is that what's going on in Ohio?
I have no idea. All I know is that he has a major press conference at 2:00 today about fraud.
Okay, I'll listen to that. But yesterday in Ohio, the state auditor came out and talked about the billions of dollars of fraud in that state.
Absolutely.
So,
You think New York is not full of this?
amen.
Okay. And here's what I want. Here's what I want us to do from now on in. Let's hold our politicians responsible. Who's been in charge? Kathy Hochul, what have you done for our state? What money have you saved for us? Jeremy, what have you done? What has Sean Ryan done? Tell me what you have done to save us money. You have spent money. And you want to know something? I'm holding you accountable for it because, people are just getting pissed off.
Well, okay, the state budget, once again,
That's right.
late. So what I say, if you are not going to, you have all year to put this budget together. If you can't do it on time, you don't get paid. For every day that the budget is not approved, you don't get paid.
Don, I agree with you, but I think that we should make this even more. I think we should make this even more deep. I think that we need to hold them accountable for the decisions they make. I think that we should look at everything that they've passed, and I think we should go back and see how successful is it? How good have you really done?
Look at the Westwood
That's right.
deal.
Oh well, no, Westwood. Look, I can't wait for this decision to be made. I really hope that the judge comes in our favor. I really do, because you want to know something? I can't wait to see how the politicians handle this. I can't wait to see what Mark Poloncarz says, what cocky remark he has to say, because that's all he is just one big arrogant person. So my point is, like, somebody who can't afford to do it. There's a perfect example. You can't afford it. We can't afford to do this golf course, but you, with your arrogance alone, are going to make this thing happen. Why? Because you said it. You think you know better than everybody else. Let me tell you something. We got 32 parks in Amherst. We don't need another one. And I hope that we win this lawsuit, because here's what I want. I want them to stand up. I want them to say, you know something? We need to go find somebody who might want to buy this golf course first and foremost. And if not, let Amherst make it their golf course and sell Audubon and make all that money. But you want to know something?
Common sense.
That's right. But you want to know something? Mark won't do that. I'm going to tell you why. Because Mark will never, ever admit that he was wrong. Never. And that's the problem. That's the arrogance that we have right now. We got people like Zellner, who's arrogant. We got Poloncarz, arrogant. These people don't know anything other than to try to put it on the backs of the constituents. And you want to know something? It doesn't matter anymore. I've done my due diligence. I ran for office because I wanted to make a change. Now, you should be concerned that I'm a citizen. You should be concerned that I know what I know now after going through that, because I'm going to let everybody know what's going on.
I hope the judge is not a Democratic appointee.
Well, you want to know something? It'll be interesting. I guess I understand. Look, my attorney is a Democrat.
They'll get to him.
I know my attorney is a Democrat. Okay, so I don't play that. I don't care who you are. I guess this judge is a real good guy.
I'll do what's right.
That's right. That's right. Why are we not looking at this? And I'm going to tell you another thing. The legislature, the Erie County legislature, I can't believe that they would accept this as being okay. We are screaming for help. We are screaming for some right of reprieve.
Controlled by the Democrats.
That's right. But see, Don, you're not allowed to say that, because then the Democrats think that you're picking on them. I'm going to say this from now on in. Who's the party in charge?
Democrats.
That's right. Who's the people in charge? Who have been making the decisions? Who has done all of this over the last 20 years? I'm asking you people, go out and look what you have received in the last 20 years. What reductions have you had? What better services have you had? What do they have to offer themselves? I'm not going to mention whether it's a party or not. Who are the people who are making the decisions? You and I talk about this all the time. Our problem is we're just a constituent. We're just a taxpayer. Who's listening to us? They don't want to have people like us talking. They don't want the ACC. They don't want all those people saying anything. This really isn't about party. I keep saying it. It really isn't.
Well,
It really isn't.
she's a word salad to me, AOC.
Oh yeah,
But
no, ACC. I mean, Amherst Concerned Citizen Group.
I
no,
thought you
no,
were talking
no,
about
no,
the
no. I'm just saying, like,
Congresswoman.
these are people out there doing this work, right?
Yeah.
I just
You know, you and I wish the Sabres well. It's series is 2-2. I went on
Thank
Facebook
God.
today. Some people who I respect in the sporting world are commenting today, no goal. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
You
my
got
God.
Canadian referees rooting for the Montreal Canadiens. The Sabres didn't have a snowball chance in hell.
That's right.
And then they talked about the penalty. That
That's right.
And I'm reading this. I said, oh my God, don't tell me the National Hockey League has got
Right.
refs who
Right.
have a bias.
That's right.
You know?
But that's the problem, though, Don. Okay. Here's what I think's happening in our world today. Here's what I think's happening in our town and everything. The people in charge prefer having this polarization. They prefer it. It's easy.
Because it makes them win.
Well,
It guarantees they win.
well, forget about the winning and losing, though. But to your point, yes. But think about it for just 1 second. They want us to be polarized. They don't want us to like the Democrats. They don't want us to like they want to make sure that we are at odds with one another because it's divide and conquer. Think about it.
It is.
Just think
I've heard about that since I was in college.
That's right.
Divide and conquer.
And think about that. Think about if we were all together. Think about if the constituents got out there and said, "You want to know something? Screw the politicians. They don't know what they're talking about." If we all were together, if we all said the same thing, they wouldn't know what to do. They would run and hide. They would run and hide.
I agree, and I am still upset as a former journalist who still keeps my finger in the action that not the Buffalo News, not 247 newsrooms, no one has gone out to Byron Brown in Batavia at OTC where he's making $300,000 and saying, "When did you realize you were running the city of Buffalo and $103 million in debt?"
I'll bet you we can go back. I bet you we can go back further than that. I'll bet you this all started. Look at the moment that you begin to think that you have the power to tax when you haven't made the right decision, you have a problem. Instead of balancing, every department should have to balance their budget. Every department should have to have a chain of custody as to what they're doing with the money that we approve to see if they're making or losing money. If they're losing money, maybe we've done something wrong. Maybe this is not the right approach. Medicaid, Medicare, everything that's you're talking about, all this fraud that's going on. I sit on the board for independent health. We are responsible to provide to the state of New York everything so they can tell us how much we can charge. At times, we're losing money
Oh, absolutely.
because that's what they give us. Unfortunately, that would be really good if I could sit back and say, we caught people being fraudulent. We did this. We did our homework. No, they don't do that. They don't care about the state of New York and their operations and whether they've got fraud. I'm going to come on the back of the business people and I'm going to make you suffer. You are going to have to make changes, not us. You do. Well, guess what? That's a one-party rule. That sounds like communism to me.
You know, I've always been an employee, but I hear it's hard to run a business in New York State.
Oh,
The taxes, the fees, the permits, the regulations. I've always said, jokingly, but if Hochul could find a way to tax the air we breathe, she would tax it. We'd be paying a tax for breathing air. I think maybe, and only maybe, I might be wrong, but maybe we should bring back the Financial Control Board for the city of Buffalo before we slap the people with a 25% tax increase.
how about this? How about this? I think we should have a financial control board for everybody. I think there should be a financial control board for Amherst,
Yeah.
for Buffalo, for the state of New York. I think that we should have it with all business people that we are looking at how they make their decisions. I think that would be a great idea.
I would like to find out how many snowplows are broken down in the town highway.
I think that would be a great idea, Don. I think that's a great idea. You're onto something.
And why aren't they fixing the potholes right now?
That's right. Well, okay, think about it. how many assessments, I know this for a fact, that we don't have our inventory on a program. It's all manually done. They have a spreadsheet to keep track of all of our assets. Do you know how many assets?
Who has that?
Our controller. We're not automated. We're not anything. Like, could you imagine the amount of time that person spends to do that? These are the things that a business person would never allow. But we got politicians who don't have a clue what that means. In my election, I said, let's centralize our purchasing department. Now, why would we do that? Because we would then be able to save money. We would be able to make sure that people are doing their jobs. We're going to get the best price. We're going to do all that stuff. That's why you have a centralized person.
Well, we do in Erie County. The purchasing department is centralized, but I'll tell you what happens. It's New Year's Eve, and there's money that hasn't been spent.
That's right.
And instead of saying, let's put it back into the general fund, or we'll save it for a rainy day or for next year, they go out and spend it. People in the purchasing department in the county of Erie have told me that they have bought hundreds of computers that are still in a box, never been used, just to spend the money that was in the budget.
We talked about this the last time. I worked at Art Park. State, you used to get money from the state. Used to get money from the town. You know, like they had to spend the money or they weren't going to get it back because they were afraid. I thought to myself, you know, I wish I could run a business like that. If I needed more money, I just get it, right? I just spend it and get more. I love that. The system is broke. The system doesn't work. And guess what? I am holding every politician responsible. I'm holding them all to it. Hochul, all of them. Because you want to know something? You don't have a clue. You don't understand. You should want to bring the best of the best in your group. You should want the best people out there. I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this out live right now. Guess what? When the decision comes through, and I hope we win Westwood, I will help you find the right people to buy that place. I will help you. I'll do it for free. Okay, I'll give it to you. It'll be my gift to the town of Amherst. Are you going to ask?
No.
Probably not.
No.
Are you going to ask for any kind of opinion from any of the people out there? When I was running, there were more people that were brilliant accountants, people who are willing to do it for nothing because they live in Amherst. Call them up, bring them on, make your own control board. Like Don just said, make your own control board. Make the decisions that you make based on a group of individuals that do this for a living. Be smart. Sean, go get the right people to help you make decisions. Help you. This is great stuff.
One of the worst assignments I had through the years was covering the Buffalo Common Council when they're doing the budget. Okay?
Right.
And God, it is boring. But Jimmy Griffin, God bless his soul, he said to me, Don, follow the money.
Right.
It's in the budget.
Right.
And that's what they're nickel and diamond deciding who's
That's
getting
right.
what.
That's right.
And it's a very important decision.
That's
and
right.
the media doesn't know how to cover it. He was right.
That's right. And I also go back to thinking of the fact that, look, if you don't know, you don't know. Okay? But you have to admit you don't know. That's the point. Mark Poloncarz, do you know everything about business? No. Sean Lavin, do you know everything about business? No. Why wouldn't you want to learn about it? Why wouldn't you get the right people around you to make those decisions for you? You want to know something? It's because you have to share the limelight with other people. Guess what? This isn't about you. This is about everybody.
I just want to comment. The last podcast we did, I talked about the street light on my street across my house.
Is it working?
It's got a ribbon around it. It tells me that they marked it. So eventually, I'm going to have a street light.
Well, that's good. At least it's on the list.
Yeah, but the taxes I pay, I'm glad.
Well, we
I
paid
have a
$48
street light.
million for all those lights, so
Yeah.
Don, it'll get fixed. It'll work out for you. But you see, I think that this is the important part about what we're doing here. All I want is people to be held accountable for the decisions they make. We put you in office, so do your job. Do your job the right way. But if it were me in that office, I have to tell you something. I would make sure that every decision I made, I had backup. Why did I spend that money? I'd have backup. Why did I increase this? I'd have backup. I would make sure that anybody asks me any questions about the decisions, I'd have backup. That's what you need to do. You need to back up your decisions because you want to know something? You owe it to us. You owe it to me. You owe it to Don. You know, to you, to everybody that's out there. You owe us a reason. You owe us that much. That is what we should expect from our politicians. You need to prove that the money we give to you, you've spent it wisely. Because guess what? I don't think they have.
Well, when you ran for the state senate, the BPA in the city of Buffalo came out and endorsed you.
They did.
That's huge.
It was huge.
And,
It is huge.
And there's a message there. The
Because-
elected officials ignore the PBA as much as they can. Okay? It's a thorn in their side to have a police union trying to stick up for the officers. By the way, a lot of great cops out there, dedicated, first to respond. Same with the firefighters. I don't begrudge any of them for anything they get.
I
don't.
am so proud
Yep.
of that. Because you want to know something? Because they recognize that I'm an average guy. You're an average guy. We're the people that matter most. Okay? This class warfare
Yeah.
that we're in right now
Yeah.
is a problem. Okay? Everybody's either here or here. And you want to know something? That is the wrong way of looking at life. Look, I believe in God more than you know, Don. I'm ruled by Jesus Christ and what I do in my life. And I say that humbly, right? Because we aren't here to make things more difficult. We should be helping each other. We've lost that in our politics. And I don't know whether it's Trump and I don't know who it is or this polarization that's occurring out there. I think it's a bunch of everybody doing the wrong things because they're not thinking about how do we bring everybody together to help the common good. Okay.
Well,
I really don't. And look, I think that Trump's doing a lot of good things, but I also think that sometimes he should not talk as much as he does.
he's his own worst enemy.
That's right. But
Did you see who he took with him over to go to China?
I know, isn't that wonderful?
My
Look
God.
at that.
I shake my head and like, incredible.
That's right.
the
But, see,
potential there.
but that's the point. He understands that. So
But you
he's-
know what he doesn't understand? What you and I and our neighbor are paying
That's
at the
right.
gas pump right
That's
now.
right.
I had half a tank. I happen to
That's
be
right.
at a nursery out in Akron. They do a beautiful job. And I said, well, let's go to the res. And there was no deal on the gas at the res. It cost me $50 for a half a tank of gas.
I
And
know.
then 100 if I was on empty. I'm going, man, how does an average Joe and Mary beer cans
That's
live
right.
like this?
and
And
but
he
and that's
doesn't realize what the pain that people are suffering.
and that's the problem. Look at, he's not all right. He's not all wrong. Not every Democrat's all right and all wrong either. What they don't understand is that they both really need each other because the only people that they're really hurting is all of us, not themselves. And this should not be about a blame game. The moment that you hear a politician blaming somebody else, beware of that politician.
First
One
one,
of
that does the blame is
That's right.
pulling
That's right.
cars.
That's right. That's the problem here. You need to take responsibility. The buck stops with you. Again, I told you, what these politicians should be doing each and every day of their life is making sure that they're covering their ass, making sure that they can answer the questions that are most prevalent in the taxpayers' minds. They need to be able to say, I did that. I went and got 4 bids. I went and talked to these people. They didn't want it. I think that we could do. They should have to explain themselves all the time. Let me ask you a question. When is the last time that you have seen our politicians, our local politicians, explain themselves
Never.
in depth?
Never.
They don't. They blame everybody. They don't explain themselves. They blame. When did it come to the point that you, as a politician, could sit there and say, "Oh, it's my department head, so I didn't know anything"? When Mark Polgar says that, to me, he sounds like the worst of the worst leaders ever. When you're starting to blame everybody else, Erie County is your responsibility. You should be going to every single one of those department heads, and you should make them responsible. And if they're doing something wrong, call them out on it.
Yeah.
You can't stay here. You need to go.
Well, the big issue that Kathy Hochul likes to use is affordability. Who made the state unaffordable?
That's right. That's right.
You know, they put in a
You're
new
right.
electric meter on my house. And I said to the guy, can I keep the old one? Is that a smart meter? Yeah, I don't want a smart meter because my rates are going to go up 30%.
She doesn't care.
Right. Who in the PSC, Public Service Commission, agreed to these rate increases? And why, with the hydroelectric plant out there on the Niagara River,
Which we own, which is ours.
why is it being sold out to other places? Why don't the people of Western New York benefit from that cheap hydroelectric, where our electric bill should be the lowest in the nation.
When we have become a society where we try to divide and conquer so you don't know those answers, is the reason why we're in the position we're in. Don, I'm going to tell you something right now. Don't think that this generation that's coming up is going to stand for it. You want to know why they won't? It's because they have a philosophy that they'll just move on. They'll go for someplace else and figure out what they're going to do. They're incorrect. This whole socialist move is stupid, but they'll learn. They'll learn because that's what will happen. They'll learn and they'll get it. What I'm talking about is this generation. One thing about this generation that I find fascinating, my children's age, is that they won't stay someplace or do things that they're unhappy with. You and I stayed in jobs whether we liked it or not.
I love my job.
That's right. We stayed in it sometimes because we had to. This group, now they'll just go on and find out what is most. They like the balance in life. They really like being home with their family. They like their vacations. They like all that, which I respect that they like that. And let me tell you, they will move on. They won't put up with it. They will make a difference. And we're going to go through a lot of gyrations. You watch, because the Polgars and all these people, they can't handle it. Polgars, it's good that he's leaving, because he couldn't win another election because people know all about him.
Well, every politician, they tell me, has a shelf life and how long you're going to be in office. But something it tells me in my intuition, based on my common sense, and you're right, I say my prayers every day, there's something wrong in Albany, and there's something wrong in the city of Buffalo, and there's
100%.
something wrong in the town of Amherst, where our taxes are so high. Even the school taxes are through the roof. I don't want to deny any kid a great education, but
That's not what this is about.
when you're late on the state budget, you're not letting the school boards know how much state aid they're going to get, and how do they get the budget votes coming up very shortly. But Dan, I don't know if we're a voice of reason. I don't know what we say as in a meeting because we don't have the political clout behind us.
Doesn't matter though, Don.
We don't have the lobbyists behind us.
But it doesn't matter, Don. I think that there needs to just be more people doing what we do, talking more.
Well, I agree with that. Also, the voter apathy. When I see the lack of turnout, to me, the people of Amherst, the people of Erie County are getting just what they deserve, because you've elected these bond fools that keep doing this to us and let the taxpayer be damned.
But Don, just so you know this too, I agree with you 100%. The problem is that they're disingenuous. The politicians are disingenuous. People have lost faith in the system, and they're just getting by because they think they have to. And this polarization and this us against them leads to the politicians staying where they're at and doing the same thing.
Did you see where Newsom came out? There's a proposal on the California ballot. A buddy of mine's son lives out in near San Jose. Dad, they are going to have a wealth tax that if you have $3 million, let's say, in stock and assets, that even though you're not selling it, you're letting it grow, they're going to come in and take 3% of that, even though you haven't sold it, and tax you. And Newsom says you're going to lose even more people.
Right. See, but again, the decisions that they're making today are for the short run, not for the long run. They know that next year it'll be something else that we're worried about, and people won't remember that.
Voters don't remember.
And that's the problem. People don't remember all the things that they've done. So the only solution to that is you make people responsible for every action they have. There's no way around that.
Well, you're going to be responsible for how the Volio works.
That's right. Well, and again, it's hard. New York's a hard state to run, to have a business in. You said that earlier, and it's true. It's very difficult, and you've got to give everything you have. And what ends up happening is you put the responsibility on the fact that you have to have good food, you have to have a decent price, you have to have a good atmosphere, you have to do all those things. So my job every single day is to make sure all those things work. And if I stop doing that, I'm going to lose business. That same philosophy about how we treat people in our businesses, whether it's a restaurant, a hotel, whether it's a hair salon, whether it's a bowling alley, it doesn't matter. That same philosophy about how we are responsible for our day-to-day life, okay? Politicians don't feel like they're responsible for our day-to-day life. And that's a problem. Because originally, the forefathers made government responsible. That you were making decisions based on the many, not the few. We are now the few, not the many. And what we do, because of this divide and conquer sentiment that we've got right now, it allows this creep to get in there where we make a decision. It's okay. It doesn't work out. We move to the next decision, but who cares that we made this wrong decision instead of learning from a bad decision? Okay. You talk about the equipment. We probably need $50 million in equipment.
Town of Amherst.
Yeah, probably need that much. What do we do? Now, would you rather spend $50 million on equipment that's going to give me services or on lights?
Yeah.
Who made that decision? Right?
Papa,
That's right. I'm saying, who made the decision?
the town board.
You should be responsible for that decision alone. And what you should have to do is you should have to go out and you should have to be able to figure out how you make these decisions based on what the will of the people are. And see, the problem we have today is that they make decisions in a vacuum. They don't think globally, and then they're not responsible for the vacuum decisions that they make. I keep thinking about the election, and I think a lot about it, and I know that today politics, which I love talking about it. I love the engagement of it. It's not a fun place to be. It's not a place where you could look at the fruits of your labor and you could say, geez,
That's what I did.
That's right. It's tough.
You know, I saw something the other day, though. Our founding fathers, how many years, and by the way, they did a wonderful job with that
Sure.
Constitution. How many years George Washington spent in power?
Yep.
John Adams.
Right.
Okay. It's 8, 10, 12.
Right.
Then you look at what we have today. Schumer, 40-some years.
Right.
Pelosi.
Right.
You know, these are career politicians.
Right.
And I'm not for term limits. If the people keep voting them in, then you get what you deserve.
That's right.
But
That's
to
right.
me, I hear Schumer talking out of both sides of his mouth. He'll say one thing in New York City to appease to the left, and he'll come to Western New York and say one thing more for the middle or to the right,
Right.
to appease to
Kathy
the
Hochul's brilliant at it. She's brilliant at it. When she wanted Western New York, she was the most conservative person out there. Now that she's governor, she doesn't need Western New York.
Right. She needs New York City.
That's right.
So she's
Right.
going to be
She's going to
Socialist
pander to that. That's
Democrat.
right. That's
She's
right.
gonna-
And see, so that's the problem with our system.
the pandering.
It's about how I'm going to get elected the next round. The reason why Donald Trump is so dangerous today is because this is his last term. He doesn't care. Doesn't matter to him. He can make decisions based on what he thinks is right. Okay. The problem is, again, he's his own worst enemy many times. But if every person who was a decision maker in politics had to think that way, what's right, we'd be far better off. Because it's always the next election. Every 2 years, our legislatures have to run. Every 2 years. Could you imagine? You just get in, now you're already doing the next
Yeah,
time.
so you got to be worried about raising money for
That's
the
right.
next election.
That's right. It's awful. It's an awful situation. And
Who came up with that idea?
I
for
don't
it to be
know.
a 2-year
Yeah,
term?
and I think when you're really involved with it, like I was, then you realize that the problems are much more pronounced than average Joe knows about. Our problems are that our politicians are disingenuous. They are. They don't get out enough to talk to understand what it's really about. They're so worried about the next move for them and staying in their job or how much power I control or whatever I do. That's becomes their main philosophy because they have no choice. Unfortunately, we've lost the belief that you're there for us. Let's make decisions. Let's keep the people informed and do all that. That's why I thought by running for the supervisor, I was better off because it was more hands-on. I could touch it. I could feel it, right? And then when I got involved with it, you recognize that there was much more involved with that. It's not just what you could do for your community. It's all well and good that you got good ideas or solid, sound ideas, but that wasn't really it. We've got our wastewater treatment plant. That's a mess,
Big mess.
but it's a mess. What are they doing about getting that solved?
They haven't raised a flag.
But see, that's an important issue. Like, they should be going to the state. The state should be giving us money. The federal government should be giving us money.
Yeah.
This is what they should be doing because that's a really important thing. That's about our drinking water, right? Stuff like that. We talk about our equipment. Who's monitoring the equipment? Who is making sure that we have updated equipment so our services are being done? What program is in place? There's none. I know this.
Why are the potholes so bad
That's
this year
right.
than every
That's right.
year they're bad, but why are they worse this year?
That's
Because
right.
they've been ignored.
That's right.
They haven't been maintained.
Or they've used cold patch when they shouldn't have done, and that
What a
doesn't
waste-
work.
It's a waste of money.
Waste of money. So to that end, to those things, this is more of a cultural and philosophical shift that we need to make in our operations of our government that reflect not only the will of the people, but also reflect sound, solid principles.
Well, Steve Floss, the highway supervisor in the town of Amherst, superintendent, he should have a column every week in the Amherst Bee telling the residents what he is doing.
I agree.
I have people in the highway department. He likes to give Lavin all the credit. He wants to say Lavin did this, Lavin did this.
Okay.
But I don't know what's going on in that highway department. But I have a hunch when I look out here and I see what the roads are like. Where's the crew?
But again, let's give Levin as much credit as he wants. Get it done. Get it done. I don't care who you give the credit to. Get it done.
There you go.
And if you can't get it done, why don't you tell the people what's really going on over there?
Yeah, why can't you get it done?
Yeah, that like we don't have enough money, or we don't do this. Why don't you just? If I was Steve Floss and I was running, or I ran and I won, let me tell you something right now. The people of Amherst would know exactly where the money's going, and not only that, if I didn't have enough, I'd be broadcasting in the Bee.
Yeah, and
I'd be telling people, I don't have enough money. They're not giving me enough.
here's the
I don't-
condition of our
That's right.
equipment. We
But see,
got
here's the
snow
problem.
plows that are 30 years old.
But here's the problem, Don. It's because there's too much. There's too much that's wrong that has to be fixed and that they're responsible for. Anyways,
Amen.
Don,
Go Sabres.
go Sabres.
Good to see you. Dave.
Nice to you too as well, my friend.